so much. Very kind. How lovely. Some of that's for you, you know. Yeah. Hello and welcome to Friday Night with Jonathan Ross. And let me just start by saying something perhaps a little outrageous here. You cannot trust everything you read on the internet, OK? A viewer, Kelly, emailed me this week to say, I read on a website that after last week's show, you and Mickey Rourke had a fight and apparently it turned nasty. Is this true? No. It's not that sort of show. I think you're confusing me with Alan Titchmarsh. So I went to the website that this Kelly wrote me about to see what else people were saying, and one of them included, my mate who works at the Beeb told me that Jonathan Ross sometimes sleeps there after the show. Is this true? And someone else went and replied, yes. No, I don't. I sometimes sleep during the show, obviously. And now, another one said, is it true that JR has someone who carries his bags for him when he records the show? Yes, I do. So we have a look and see who's in my green room tonight. My first guest is a naturalist, a documentary maker, and above all, a genuine national treasure. He is Sir David Attenborough, ladies and gentlemen. So exciting to have Sir David back on the show. David, I don't want to seem silly up front, but you must be running out of animals by now, aren't you?
No interviewers.
My next guest is an English actress. You'll know her from the hit movie The Devil Wears Prada. She was also in Charlie Wilson's War with Tom Hanks. She's in a fabulous new movie called Young Victoria. It's the beautiful Emily Blunt. Good evening, Emily. I'm loving that sequin frock already.
What'd you say?
I'm loving that sequin frock already.
Thank you.
No, I said frock. What did you think I said? My next guest is an actor. Ladies, he's not just sitting in the green room. He is smouldering. It's Clive Owen. There he is. Come on, Clive, smoulder for me, smoulder. The world's largest rock and roll band. U2. It's U2. All four of the band right there. Great to see you again, chaps.
Good to be here.
It's always great to have the fellas on. Larry, Adam, The Edge, and of course, Ronan of U2.
Thank you.
U2, ladies and gentlemen, playing live later on here on the show. Oh, dear. OK. Before we move on, I think everyone's going to be excited about this. We've got a new invention here. At last, they've invented a musical instrument that anyone can play. No matter how musically untalented you are, you can play this. Even drummers could play this. No offence, Larry. Here it is. It's called Beams, OK? It's the new thing out. This is Beams. Let me say, so you can see it's an electronic-y thing. It's been described as a sort of air harp. So you see can you see those red lights there? You see that? There's a sort of red beam going from one side to another. You pass your hands through the beams and it makes different sounds, and you program it to make different sounds, and you can then rhythmically make your own music, OK? I'll give you a little demo. Oh, that was just touching there. That's like what you used to get daytime TV and then a hamster would come out, wasn't it? Where you going to then? This is either fantastic music or I've just walked into a candle shop. The great thing about it is you can set it to play any kind of music you want. You can set it for, that's kind of like new agey stuff. You can set it for funk, for soul, for hip-hoppy sounds, for rock and roll. OK, so I've got the rock and roll setting here. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to give you a bit of, I'm going to try a bit of U2 for you. Ready? You may well be redundant. I might be sending you home early. Look, Bono's actually worried. Look at that body language.
Got in the corner.
Hello, Wembley. Right. Feed the poor. Do good things, blah, blah, blah. That's all right, mate. I'll tell you what, get rid of Grandad, you got a new frontsman. Let's turn it off, shall we? That's pretty good, isn't it? That's the Beams. Shall we get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen? Will you please welcome the one and only Sir David Attenborough, ladies and gentlemen. Make yourself comfortable, sir. How
Thank you
lovely
very
to see
much.
you here again. Thank you for joining us on the show.
A pleasure.
I hope this isn't out of term, but you're 82, I believe, at the moment. Is that correct? 83 in May?
That's right.
Well, congratulations in advance for your birthday. Showing absolutely no signs of slowing down, I'm delighted to say. Just about as busy as a man can be the last 12 months. You've been honoured with 2 degrees. Can I tell everyone your full title now? Sir David Attenborough, OM, CH, CVO, CBE, FRS. It's like my national insurance number. And most excitedly as well, you've just had a fossil named after you as well.
I have.
OK, now, do you know the name of the fossil? Can you remember?
Of course. Brit-packers Attenborough.
Wow. Brit-packers Attenborough.
Yeah.
And this is, how old is this fossil?
About 500 million years old.
Yeah, you see, now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because if you name one after Bruce Forsyth, he'd be furious.
Well, it's not... I do actually worry about why it was given me.
And do you know why? What did they say?
Well, the thing about this is it's a fish, 500 million years old, but up to that time, everybody thought that fish reproduced by the female putting down the eggs,
Lazy
and
eggs
the
over
male
there.
comes along and, you know, that's that. Right. But this fish has been found with its baby attached to it by an umbilical cord.
Oh, my goodness.
So that baby was born inside the female fish.
Like we are, like warm-blooded creatures tend to be.
Exactly. So that means that this is the first animal on planet Earth ever to have, how can I put this, copulated.
Intercourse.
Yeah, intercourse, indeed. But why have they named it after me?
Because you're a sexy older dude. Well, congratulations. What
Thank
a
you very
wonderful
much.
thing. Now, I've got a box set. I've been given the box set to have a look at to study, and I've so enjoyed Life on Land, a DVD encyclopedia. The most remarkable collection of moments that you have filmed, I think. It's a 15 DVD box set. You can imagine how much information... And it covers just about every life form on the planet.
Yep, it does.
And the index system is marvellous because you've obviously made it easier for people to find stuff and to look at... Presumably this is your kind of crowning achievement, I would have thought.
Well, honestly, it is. I mean, I found that one way or another, over the past 20 years, I've been making series about big groups of animals, about birds and mammals and so on. Now, we put them all together.
Everything.
But they've got these electronic tags. So you've got a little index there, and if you look up anything in that, duck-billed platypus or whatever you wish, and then it'll give you 3 numbers, and you put the disc right in the skin.
The disc number, the
this
chapter number.
and then bingo.
It's incredible. So you can
comes up.
say you want to look alarm calls of different animals. No, you know, I don't know why you'd be particularly interested in that, but alarm calls of different animals, and you can see, you go to one, there's the Arabian babbler, another there's the black buck, the chiffinch, the chittle, the fieldfare, the ground squirrel, the impala. Animals you didn't even know could talk. Well, not they talk, but you know what I mean. The monkey, the robin, the sandbar, the great tit, the wren, the zebra, everything there that makes an alarm call, and you can find it, and there's an example of it.
There you are.
Wow. It must have been a big job to do
Well,
this.
it was a big job for the people who did the technical thing of finding out how to put those electronic tags in and enable you to do it. And I honestly think it's a first.
You know, I mentioned earlier on, I was kind of like half joking, but surely there can't be many animals or many life forms on the planet even that you haven't seen, that you haven't encountered firsthand, that you haven't experienced.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about species, I mean, there are millions of species, so you'll be there forever. But the main types we've dealt with.
It is quite remarkable that you've managed to get so close to so many different species, so many different animals, so many with different defence systems and mechanisms, and not been badly hurt, not been mauled yourself or bitten. I mean, you must have had a few close shaves, though.
Well, I hope we've been careful. I mean, one of the problems, of course, is that if you've got a dangerous animal, you know what these television producers are like. They say, well, there's that dangerous animal. You come over there and you talk to the camera, and you have to talk turn your back to the dangerous animal. So, I mean, it's quite alarming to try and remember what it is that you think you need to say when the animal's behind you.
Yeah, yeah. And some of them are pretty big, aren't they? I mean, you know, you've been close to bears and...
Yeah, well, that bear was one in question.
Well, the bear footage recently that I saw just made me fall in love with bears. And I was going to ask you something, because you spend a fair amount of time talking about their hibernation period and them stocking up on food and coming up. But am I right in thinking that in certain areas where man is encroaching on their natural habitat, that's all they're not hibernating for as long or as much or as deeply? We're affecting their whole pattern.
We are certainly interfering with things, yes. And one of the problems, of course, particularly everybody knows now about polar bears. I mean, those are one of the problems. But as the climate is changing, so all these habits are changing. And whether nature can keep up with the rate at which we are changing things is one of the problems.
It is terrifying, and it seems to be dawning on all of us more and more with each passing year. And the footprint that we're leaving behind, as I said, do you think it's reversible? Do you think that we will learn? Because even now, you know, we all know this, but still, I drove here to work. People driving their cars everywhere. We still jet off on holiday. People are still doing all that, despite knowing what it's doing.
Yeah, well, we can never go back. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Even within 2, 3, 4 generations, we won't go back to what it was like before the 18th century. No. But we can slow down the rate at which we change. And that's very important. Very important. Not only for animals, it's important for us, you know, that we accommodate to these changes.
We're a pretty hardy breed. What I really want is for you to look in the camera and just tell us all it's going to be okay, Sir David. That's really what I'm after. But you can you? No. Okay. The trap just bite it. Is that venomous? Would it
Yeah.
Affect, so would it affect an animal as big as us if it bit?
Well, it would give you it'd be an unpleasant bite.
There must be things, though, moments where you've seen these animals and you're still amazed at what nature provides, at how things have developed, how things have grown. Your series on Darwin, which was tremendous, of course, I think maybe helped persuade those who were still uncertain as to the origin of the species that there is a lot in that. And you got a few kind of naysayers, didn't you? A few people came your way who wanted to dispute the truth in...
Well, there are people who believe that the book of Genesis is literally correct, who believe literally that when God had made Adam, he then put him in a trance and did something and took a rib out of Adam's side and then said something and it turned into a woman. Now, if you believe that is literally true, then there's nothing... I can't argue about that because you're believing it on the question of what's written on there. But if you want to know... there's other ways of knowing about the natural world, and that is to go and look at it. And look at it as it is now, and look at it as it was when you read the fossils. And that tells you a different story. Women didn't come into existence like that, if you believe science.
Do you yourself, are you a religious person? Do you believe in God?
Well, put it this way, I do not think that knowing that life has developed from the simplest forms over 3,000 million years, as awesome a story as you can possibly imagine, I don't think that necessarily means that you can't believe in God.
So it's a kind of agnostic view of things, right?
I mean, my view is that I don't know one way or the other, but I don't think that evolution is against a belief in God.
How are you with the modern world? When you travel, do you take with you an iPod?
Yes, I do all that.
Yeah. And do you download?
Of course I do.
So you put your own...
Well, I put my own... I put discs on. Yeah.
Books on tapes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What about the internet? Do you use that ever? Does that help you in work?
Not much.
Have you ever Googled yourself?
That's a very, very rude question. I'm not going to ask in public.
My kids are on it all the time. I mean, I limit the time they're on it, but one of the things I found useful is that, you can communicate with them in a way that they understand. It's quite quick and easy. And I believe that you have Skype set up, and you have the internet viewing system.
Well, what I was saying is that actually these days, the way you can communicate with people all over the world. I mean, I've got grandchildren in Australia. I can talk to them. And that's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, the family is not... only 100 years ago, that if someone went to Australia, that was the end of it.
Well, even 20 years ago, to phone someone in Australia was not only a huge expense, you had to book the phone line and stuff like that, didn't you?
Oh, gosh, did you ever?
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? What about your travelling, though? Do you ever see yourself stopping or cutting down on the travelling? I don't mean due to health, I mean just, in terms of, we were talking about the environment.
Well, I must say, my heart sinks when I go into an airport, doesn't yours?
Yeah.
And, and particularly they're overcrowded and people shrieking at one another and so on. And that does get me down a bit. But when you get to the other end, there are fabulous things there.
Is there anywhere you haven't been, though? I'm more curious as to whether there are parts of the world where you still think, you know what, one day if I get the time, I'm going to...
I wish I had been able to go to Tibet before China was there, you know. The old... I mean, that must have been going back to the Middle Ages. Yeah. It must have been fabulous.
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll open up. Maybe it will change.
Well, it's opened up now, but it's different.
Where do you stand on undiscovered animals of the sort that we're excited about, but perhaps not there? I believe the study of it is called cryptozoology. I don't know whether it's an actual science or kind of made up thing. The Yeti, the abominable snowman, Sasquatch, the Bigfoot thing, the Loch Ness monster. Do you think there's those sort of things are out there that we haven't found?
I don't think there's a Loch Ness monster because if there was one, there would have to be two or three.
Yeah,
There'd have to be a family, and if it was an ichthyosaur or something, an air-breathing creature, it would be coming up all the time. So I don't think that. But I am absolutely baffled by the abominable snowman, which is also called the Yeti or the Sasquatch, because very, very convincing footprints have been found. Yeah. What made them? And I'm talking particularly about abominable snowman, which have had footprints at 18,000, 19,000 feet. Nobody goes up to 19,000 feet just to make a joke.
Certainly not barefoot.
No, certainly not barefoot.
Flip-flops on at the very least, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So I think there's an unanswered problem there.
Wow, so there probably is. You think there might well be? Oh, that's exciting. Let's do a show.
Why not?
Let's go, well, you know what?
It's a deal.
I don't want to travel there. Let's do a show like with Andrew Lloyd Webber. You could still be the abominable snowman. You know? How exciting. That would be, wouldn't it be great if they found something like that? Because that's really what would excite us, I think, more than anything, is a big kind of species. Or
well,
big...
what about a fossil fish? The who were the first fish to actually copulate.
Yeah, not as interesting, I'll be honest with you.
It's very, very interesting.
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't even want to be named after that. Or have it named after me, should have been the joke. I get so excited when I see the shows, partly because I love finding out about the world, and I know that I'm going to see it, but also because, you know, I can show it to my children, and it's weird. I don't know if you've experienced this, but when I have one of your shows on DVD, or when I know it's coming on, almost always, it's a hard sell. I say, come and see this thing, we're going to see a thing about bears. But the minute it starts, and they see the incredible photography that your team have captured for us, and your voiceover comes in, and it's clearly, you know what you're speaking about, they get hooked. They're there for the duration. So this might seem selfish, but I hope you don't plan on stopping any time in the near future.
I don't.
OK. Ladies and gentlemen, will you join me in saying thank you to the one and only Sir David Attenborough?
You're very kind.
Nice working out, guys. Lovely to see you again. Thank you so much. Sir David Attenborough, ladies and gentlemen. Big news this week in the newspapers about Gail Trimble. You see this story? This young woman called Gail, she's a student from Oxford. She almost single-handedly won University Challenge. She had a team with her, but, man, she knew just about every answer. She is brainy. She's brainier than a service station pasty, OK? Do try and keep up and don't groan, OK? But I was thinking, is it really that difficult to get those questions right? You know, I mean, I know it's under pressure, so we took some from the show, and we've split the green room. I'm going to do it now into two teams. I'm going to ask Sir David, Emily and Clive, if you could be one team, you can be Showbiz College, OK? And that team there, we've got you two there, you can be School of Rock, OK? And these are some questions we've taken, actual University Challenge questions. So you put your hand up if you think you know them, OK? First question. Which spiky tree, Yucca brevifolia, grows in the southwestern deserts of the USA, specifically the Mojave Desert? Edge, School of Rock.
Joshua tree.
The Joshua tree is correct. OK. Well done. Very good. That's one. What was the name of the high-altitude American spy plane shot down over the Soviet Union in 1960? Edge, School of Rock. Who was first?
I was first.
You too.
No. It was you two. Don't fall out over it. You're meant to be a team together. You two, correct. OK, last question. The musician Dave Evans is better known by what name? I've got to give this to the Edge, School of Rock.
Moi, the Edge.
Yeah, the Edge. There you go. Very well done, you two. As for the rest of you, the other team there, I am very disappointed in you, particularly you, Attenborough. I thought contemporary rock was your specialist subject.
I did my best.
Yeah. Obviously more of a Coldplay fan. Aren't we all? Now, shall we... No, it's a joke. It's a joke. Shall we get my next guest out, ladies and gentlemen? Will you please welcome the lovely Emily Blunt? great dress you got on there.
No, I'm a bit worried it's a bit short. You can see the top of my
Don't
tights.
ever worry about a dress being too short. Now, just flown in from Los Angeles to be with us,
Yes.
I believe, and happy birthday. It was your birthday this week.
It was on Monday, yeah.
Wow, 42. What a
I
lovely...
know.
What a
I know.
It's had a bit of work done, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you go to LA for.
Nip it just a little bit.
Now, how old are you? How old were you this year?
26.
Wow, well, congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
remember when I was 26.
What were those days like?
They were very similar to the way they are today.
That's a worry.
Yeah. Just no petrol. We were steam-driven. OK, Devil Wears Prada.
Yes.
I loved that movie. I didn't think I would necessarily. I loved it. It was a tremendous, fun movie. I've watched it with my kids any number of times. Now, you played the assistant to the woman who edits a magazine rather like Vogue,
yes.
which is based on a woman in real life who is somewhat scary, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you get to meet her? Did you do much research for the part? Did you get to hang out at the magazine?
I didn't actually hang out at the magazine. I actually went to this sort of fashion event called the Met Ball, which I was really dreading, and I wasn't aware that Anna Wintour was in charge of it.
Well, there she is. You can see she's a nice, jokey person to hang out with. Very relaxed. And
Yeah.
so
I had to kind of... There was a big queue going in. I was like, oh, this is awful. Why is there such a long queue? And then I turned the corner and I realised we had to shake hands with Anna Wintour, and it was just like, oh, my God, this is going to be awful. And I'd heard that she was upset about the film being made and felt it was a bit of a betrayal by the woman who'd written it, and so I walked up to meet her, and she did one of those like handshakes where you shove the hand away. She was like, hello, and then shoved it.
Pushed it back.
And I was like, all right, see you later.
What about the making the movie itself, though? Because it seemed to me, and I don't know, it seems like it's a fairly accurate portrayal of that world.
That's what people tell me. I mean, I think it is that sort of awful and incestuous and competitive.
But at the same time, you can see why people love it, because if you like clothes, if you like fashion, you would want to be there. It feels like you're in the centre of it all.
Well, you would. I mean, but I certainly wouldn't want to work in an office where you can't eat a bagel.
No, I wouldn't want to either. Did you get to keep any of the clothes? Did you get to keep any of the gear from the...
I didn't. It's a real sore point, because Meryl decided to auction them all off.
So Meryl's
So that was nice. No, obviously it was for charity. So
still are. But
I did steal a belt.
Well, that's nice. So you stole a belt from charity. Yeah, she's fantastic in the film,
She
of
is,
course. And it must be daunting, I'm sure, for any young actress to go in and know you're working with Streep.
Yeah.
Did she put you at ease? Is she relaxed with you?
She met us at the read-through, and she was really nice and really supportive and laughed at my first line, which I appreciated. And then afterwards, she took Annie and I aside and she said, you know, I'm really happy that you guys are in the movie and I think you're going to be really good. And that's the last nice thing I'm going to say to you. And it really was, like, that was it. And so when we got to set, she was quite frosty.
So she stayed in character then?
A little bit. I mean, it wasn't that we couldn't approach her, but she was quite reserved. I think she hated playing her, to be honest.
Really? Why so?
Yeah, because I think that she felt she was rather soulless, sort of boring.
Oh, but she does it's a great performance.
She does a good dragon.
But I can imagine, you know, when you meet someone who you've admired for years, it is intimidating. I mean, when Clive came in this evening and met me, you could see he was a little bit...
Clive is quaking back there.
He was, I'm something of a role model to that young man. OK, let's talk about your new... Well, no, before we talk about your new movie, let's talk about the movie maybe Tom Hanks, because I met Emily and interviewed her very briefly for the film. You were just about to go off and shoot Charlie Wilson's War with Tom Hanks.
And take my clothes off.
Yeah, it's not a huge part, but you were nervous about it because you had to be semi-naked or nearly naked with him.
Yeah, which is mortifying, obviously, having to do any of those scenes. But, I mean, it was distracting doing it with someone like Tom Hanks, who I've grown up watching, and all I could think of was, like, Splash and Big and... Oh, no, I shouldn't say that.
You don't want to think of that.
Oh, God.
You're naked with Tom Hanks and think about Splash and Big. Did you tell him that?
No, I'd veered off that on the day. Oh, God.
But and how does he put you at your ease there?
He was so cool. He was such a gentleman and just made it very easy for me. I mean, it's always embarrassing. There's always some unnecessary crew guy lurking around.
But it's a weird part of your business, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is strange. I mean, it's never going to be comfortable. It's always quite clinical. I mean, there's always someone gagging for their lunch break in the middle of your love scene. So.
Now, I saw a preview of your new movie, Young Victoria, which is out in March. I saw it yesterday, and I adored it.
Oh, good.
I loved it. I didn't know there would. It's a period thing, and sometimes it's easy to get that kind of thing wrong. But a fascinating story as well. And the idea for the film comes from quite an unusual source, doesn't it? Who was it who first suggested they make this movie?
It was the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson.
So it was Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, not Fergie from Black Eyed Peas, Fergie from Ex of the Royal Family. Yeah. So she must have, read up on the Young Victorian.
Well, I think it was her idea, and then she brought it to Graham King, and then Julian Fellows just ran with it, and he's a historical buff, so...
And was it the usual audition process, or did you get invited in for this?
I mean, it was. I think I found out about it early on from my pushy agent. So I went to meet them, and I rarely do kind of an impassioned plea for something, but I really wanted to do this. So.
And was that because you'd already read the script, or you knew?
Yeah,
it would
I'd
be
read the script, and I knew that I was probably the elimination process for someone bigger.
Yeah, but it's a terrific. Well, this is kind of in a way your first lead, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And is that tricky when you go in knowing that you're essentially carrying the movie?
I did find that frightening and daunting, and I felt the kind of pressure of responsibility that comes with that. But I more just fell in love with her and everything that I read about her, and she was so fascinating. I think the preconception of her is that she's this old, repressed, sour-faced cow with a hanky on her head.
Walking around here with a black frock with a hanky on, yeah. Look,
Yeah,
well, there you go. But what a remarkable life. I mean, and presumably, historically, it's all accurate. I mean, the thing about her...
It is. I mean, she actually did lead this very lonely, closeted childhood where she wasn't allowed friends, or she had to walk downstairs with someone holding her hand.
Always
she slept in the same room as her mum.
And was that in case she slipped and fell?
In case she slipped, yeah.
So the next in line at the phone would have gone. What a weird upbringing.
So it was very lonely, I think, for her. Yeah. So it's remarkable she had the resilience to kind of carry through and become queen.
And real strength of character, if we'd have believed the movie, to resist other people who wanted to take some of that power from her, at least early on. Who's that with you? Who's the young fellow with you playing the young Prince Albert?
Rupert Friend.
Rupert Friend. He's Keira Knightley's young man, I believe.
Yes.
He's tremendous in the film.
He's brilliant, and he was kind of the only guy who could have played the part, really.
I've got to confess, I welled up a little bit when she finds love there.
I love that you did.
It's a really lovely romantic story. It's beautifully told, and you carry it brilliantly, I think.
Thank
really,
you.
I think as long as you don't make some dodgy movies over the next 2 years, you'll be fine.
I probably have done.
Well, your next one, it could be great, could be terrible. Let's wait and see. The Wolfman.
Oh, yeah.
Emily's in The Wolfman.
You had Benicio, didn't you?
We had Benicio del Toro. What a great fella. I loved his company.
Good.
And this looks, just from that, it's the only still we've got. Just from that, I know I'm going to be queuing to see it. No. You've got Anthony Hopkins in a beard there, looking great, OK? You're all done up in the widow weeds. And then there's Benicio with a brilliant hat on. Presumably he is the Wolfman, isn't he?
Well, he's halfway there. Look at him.
And Anthony Hopkins, of course, he's no slouch when it comes to scary movies. The first time you've worked with him, is this?
It's the first time, and he's such a dream. I followed him around like a bad smell. I didn't leave him alone.
And does he do... he's quite playful, isn't he?
He is. He's actually an amazing mimic. He can impersonate almost anyone. He does Gielgud and Olivier and all them. And I did ask him to do Hannibal for me.
Now, why did you ask him to do
that? In the makeup chair. We were sitting there, and I just went, go on, do it. And he was like, what? I was like, do it. And so he did some, and I can't remember what he said because I almost puked. It was so awful. Yeah, he did a bit of that, and it's terrifying.
He just turns it on with the eyes.
He just turns it on.
Well, I can't wait to see that. And once again, congratulations on the movie,
Thank you.
Young Victoria. Lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome back anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Emily Blunt.
Thank you. Am I off then?
You're off. Well done.
Thank you very much.
I really do love it.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm thrilled.
Emily Blunt, ladies and gentlemen. Shall we get my next guest out, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah. Please welcome the fabulous Clive Owen. A handsome man right there. Two great-looking men out on the couch on a Friday night, and what more do the women of this country want? Let's let them just soak it up for a minute, shall we? Well, work it, Clive, work it. Don't leave it all to me. Great to see you again. Is it nice to be home? Because you've been pretty busy. You've been filming, I guess, pretty solidly. I mean, you've got one movie out this Friday, one movie out in a few weeks' time.
Exactly, yeah. No, we're doing this sort of press tour, so I've been out sort of promoting the international, and then literally I'm home for a week, and then next week I go off starting the promotion for
Duplicity, of Love the Film, which is in with Julia Roberts, which I've seen as well, which I'd like to talk about later because I thoroughly enjoyed that. So when you're away, how long have you been away from home? How much time do you have to spend away filming, and that must be difficult to balance with the family,
Yes,
I guess.
I think what I tend to do is I'll do a movie that takes me away from home for 3 or 4 months, and then I make sure that I take considerable downtime and stay at home and hang with the kids.
And what do the kids make of you being in movies? Do they? Because you never really made any family films as such.
No, they're not very happy about that at the moment.
So they can't get to see you?
They come, they visit the set, they meet everybody involved with the film, and then the film comes out and they're not allowed to see it. So.
that's almost like, you know, just cruelty there. Making them would you ever do a kids' movie?
They're putting me under serious pressure at the moment, so, yeah. If the right one comes along, I would definitely do it.
Have you been offered any?
Yes.
Okay, well, you're probably not going to want to say
I made the fatal mistake of telling them once about a film that came out. It was quite a big children's film that I was offered that I passed on, and they're still giving me grief about it.
What was the film?
I'm not telling you.
You'll tell your kids and you won't tell me. Right, your priorities. OK, you must miss your family terribly when you're away. Sir David mentioned that he sometimes Skypes his family. Do you do that?
I tried that for a little while, yeah. It wasn't very successful because the younger one, Eve, I think she just found it very difficult. I loved it. I adored seeing them and connecting with them like that. But she got a bit freaked out, I think. I think the fact that I was there but not really there is a bit weird for her.
So it actually made it harder?
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
Let me ask you about working with some of the people you worked with recently, because in International, we know Naomi Watts, a terrific actor. In Duplicity, you're with Julia Roberts, of course, who you've worked with before. You seem to get your pick of the crop of the young leading ladies these days.
I've been very lucky, yeah.
Now, Julia Roberts, you worked with twice. Jennifer Aniston, you worked with once. Angelina Jolie, who he's also been in the movie with, who has those remarkable lips, has described you as being one of the best kissers ever.
Don't get jealous.
Well, I am jealous. I think we're all jealous. But are you a good kisser as well?
No, not particularly.
See, I don't think I'm a good kisser. I think my wife's a good kisser, and I know your wife's a good kisser, but I was wondering... well, he's away a lot. But it must be, you know, oh, here we go, we've got to do this, and presumably you have to make sure you don't eat anything too spicy all morning.
Yep.
Just little courtesies like that, I guess. OK. Your kids, will you sit down and explain to them what you're doing on screen when they do get old enough to watch these movies, or will that be a self-explanatory, you think?
No, I mean, literally, it's been very weird because the films that I've chosen to do, I don't think they've literally hardly ever seen a film I've done.
Even clips, I guess, they probably wouldn't see.
And you know, they're too young. I mean, they're not going to sit down and watch Sin City or Closer for quite a few years to come.
You would hope not. Yeah. No. OK, are they going to follow in your footsteps at all, do you think? Do you think they would like to act? Would they like to be...
I think it's a bit too early. They've started doing the school plays.
How old are your kids? One is...
12 and 9.
Yeah, because I should just say this, Clive has his children at the same school that I have my children at.
That's right.
Which is lovely for him, because he sees me on a regular basis outside the gates. And I've got to say one thing, which is, I don't know if you're aware of this, but because when you're not filming, you're pretty present at the school.
I am.
I see you collecting the kids a lot, dropping them off. I've noticed, I don't know if you noticed, that the mums in the playground tend to get a little bit more, I don't know, their hair seems more straightened, there's a little bit more... Yeah, the couple of weeks you're there, I noticed a distinct improvement in the quality of the mums.
Are you sure it's not? Are you sure it's not you?
No, it's definitely not me, because I'm there all the bloody time, and me and the other dads all sucking our stomach in when you come in. It's like... Now, let's talk about the International, because here, in many ways, it's a very timely story. It opens today all over the UK. Without giving too much away, how would you describe the story?
I play a guy from Interpol that is totally obsessed with trying to bring down a huge bank who he believes to be totally corrupt and literally travel all over the world in pursuit of trying to bring them down.
It's corruption in a different way to the way, perhaps, that we've seen banks let people down at the moment, and this is a kind of deliberate... misuse of funds in a way that no one could possibly, I would have thought, justify. What parts of the world did you travel to for this movie?
We went to Italy. We spent 2 weeks in Milan. We shot in New York for a while. We were in Berlin. We went to France. We shot a lot of places.
So hold on. So early on, you're saying how much you miss being away from your family. Now you're saying you've basically had 12 weeks in some of the nicest parts of the world where you don't even have to bloody Skype your kids because you've given us this excuse that it upsets them. Meanwhile, your wife's coming to me for affection. Don't worry, it's a joke. I just want to make sure you didn't think I was breaking it to him very publicly. You know, one of the things I noticed in the movies, whenever you see an action movie like this, modern one, these days, you're reminded of the Bourne movies, you're reminded of the new Bond movies, of course. You're in the first Bourne movie, and there was much talk at the time of you maybe being Bond. Were you in the running for that? Were you not in the running for that?
No, that was all complete media speculation. It was all completely whipped up, and until, you know, Daniel Craig was put in place, that just kept on going. None of it came from me, but...
Would you like to have done it?
I'm very happy doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. You know what? You would make a great Bond, I think. But are those movies, they're fun to make, those kind of movies, with a lot of gunplay, with a lot of shooting? Because presumably safety's an issue, of course. And do you get comfortable with the weapons? Do you have to study and learn how to...
I did a movie called Shoot 'Em Up, which literally I handled every single kind of weapon that was available. So I'm pretty comfortable on a set, not in real life.
So you could change a gun... Because you know when you see people, they go click, 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 click in a movie?
I've done a lot of gun stuff in film, so yeah.
And can you shoot well? Have you practiced proper shooting?
For real, I don't know, but in movies...
But they must let you try it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They take you to a firing range, yeah.
And are you any good?
I'm okay, yeah.
Okay. What about if you were in a fist fight, a bare-knuckle fist fight, with another trained killer, OK? Stripped to the waist. There's some oil on your chest, maybe. It's raining.
Is this your gay fantasy?
Maybe one of them. You mentioned Sin City a little while back, which was a tremendous movie I love, and they keep talking about a sequel. I don't know if that's happening or not, whether you have any...
They've been talking about it since we did the first one, but I don't know where that's at, really.
Alongside you in that movie, that was kind of the first return to a decent role for Mickey Rourke.
Yep.
There's much talk of The Wrestler being his big comeback movie, but in a way, he paid
I
the way.
agree, and I think he was really underrated, actually, in Sin City as well. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal in that movie and was pretty underrated.
Well, you know what? You couldn't really see it was him. There's so much of that weird prosthetic
But he was
makeup.
great in the movie, I thought.
But did you see him during the period in the awards? Because he came on here, he won the BAFTA. I thought he was maybe pretty in for the Oscars. Have you spoken to him since, you know?
I haven't, no. I've spoken to him during all the thing, because I thought he was brilliant in the movie. I'm delighted for him. I mean, that guy, for me, when he was young, was the man. He was the best actor out there, and, you know, he's been through a lot, and to come back like he's come back, and I'm really delighted for him.
Well, I hope there is a Sin City 2. I'd love to see that, because I love the first one. Of course, he wouldn't be in it, would he?
Probably not, no.
Well, he died in the first one.
Yeah.
Did you not watch it?
Anything's possible.
OK. So they are going to make Well, while you're opening up, A, do you want to be Bond? B, you ever punched a man bare-chested? OK, Duplicity is another movie that Clive's made. It's not out for a couple of weeks over here. It's Yuri Julie Roberts. It's out on March the 20th. I saw this the other day. Wow, what a great script, what great dialogue.
Great dialogue.
You must have been so excited when you got offered that.
I read that script, and it's one of those rare scripts that comes along that the minute I finished it, I rang the agent and said, this is the one, this is fantastic. It has dialogue to die for, really.
It zips on, and you know what? It's a very confusing movie for, like, the first hour or so, deliberately so. I really thought, I'm not going to understand this, and then it does all fall into place. It's very kind of cleverly written, cleverly made.
We play, Julia and I play corporate spies who are having an affair who decide to scam the companies we're working for. And the thing is just constantly unravelling. And we're having this affair, but we kind of don't trust each other as well, so...
Yeah, you don't know whether they're on the same page or they're not, and there's weird things that keep repeating that make sense at the end.
Yeah.
And there's a scene at the beginning where we see you first approach her at a thing and you're coming onto her and she kind of initially turns you down.
Yeah.
Now, I can't imagine that has ever happened to you, Clive Owen.
I've been married for a long time, Jonathan, so...
OK, before you were married, I bet you got so much action. Clive, it's great to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Clive Owen. Thanks to Clive, of course, and my other guests this evening so far, Emily Blunt and Sir David Attenborough.